Hello and welcome to episode 203 of the Talking Wednesday podcast. It's all three of the Talking Wednesday hosts, Punk, Worko and Dex, I can't speak, for you today. Straight on the back of a Wednesday win, which is nice to see. But we will start, as we always do with this podcast, and we will go to Jack this time. How has your week been, my friend?
Honestly, it's been so nice not having tonsillitis anymore. Because my doctor took one look in my throat, or well, the pharmacist, because they fobbed me off the first time I called them, to go and see the pharmacist about an antibiotic routine. And the look of absolute terror that went on that
you
pharmacist.
Said this
I was going to say, I've heard this story on the pod already.
Yeah. But it's just been...
Are you okay?
I mean, it's just been nice to actually, like, have proper night's sleep again. Just, yeah.
Are you actually Jack, or is Jack found in the reflection on your forehead?
Look, listen. Don't. I've got a skincare routine, and I've applied it today, so my forehead's nice and shiny because of my Nivea Men skin balm moisturizing
You know
cream.
you meant to rub it in, like.
Yeah,
of
course I did. Look, I've got naturally high blood flow to my forehead. That's why I get very flushed, okay? You can even see the vein. I've got a vein popping out on my forehead, those of you watching on YouTube. And look, listen, I'm good. Move on to Jake. Thank you.
It's just that we're sending hairline, isn't it, Jack?
It's a widow's peak! It's a widow's peak!
How old are you
sorry,
now, Jack?
I was made by Hasbro, Mr. Ginger friggin' neon orange haircut. Oh, we can't
We'll
even
get to
see
that,
James,
don't worry.
so I can't
How
rip
old are
into
you now,
James
Jack?
today. God. Yes, I'm okay. I was okay until I came on here. Now I'm not so okay.
You're mid-20s, right?
I what?
You're mid-20s, right?
Yes.
How old are you?
25,
20.
soon to be 26.
Okay. Get a tape measure, right? And mark on the tape measure how far they're currently back. And every year when we do the draft, you can tell us how far the lines at the sides of your head have gone further back.
So how's your week been, Jake?
Well,
Is this actually a thing, by the way? Because Jake seemed to come out with, I've never heard this Jack's receding comment, so I've just jumped on it. Is this a thing?
it's the same
people
for
on
my
my
Twitch chat. Yeah.
They keep trying to gaslight me that I've got a receding hairline, and I don't. It's a widow's
Well,
peak.
this is why I think my experiment works, because you can either prove it or not.
To the point where I literally, like...
He got paranoid and
on
asked
New
his
Year's
barber.
Eve, I got paranoid and asked my barber, and my barber was like, no, it's a widow's peak hairline. They're just chatting crap. And, yeah,
The problem is, it's that
Has your hair
reaction we
always
get.
been like that?
Is my hair what, sorry?
Has your hair always been like
Yes.
that? Then yeah, probably. It just depends. Do you feel like it's got any further back?
No.
Because I do have friends with a similar hairstyle that had that for a while, but then they did start to go back there.
No,
So it just
I
depends
don't
if-
like this gaslighting that I'm going to go bald. No. Male pattern baldness may be a thing for a lot of late 20-year-olds, but it won't be for me. Okay?
You're just at, you're
Stop
just
it.
at the time now. We're just
No,
concerned friends.
stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
He started a king
I've actually
routine.
I've actually got a friend who's basically going to be bald by 30, and I do not have that sort of a hairline. Good grief.
Everybody goes at their own rate. I think I'll go eventually. It might just take some time. Or I could wake up one night and it'll look like you've bloody shaved a hedgehog in the bed or something. Like it could...
Could wake
It
up and
could
have that
be-
Skyrim hairstyle where it's bald but long hair coming from the
Yeah.
the
yeah,
friggin' I don't know. Oh. How has your week been, Jake? For the
Busy.
7th time trying to pass it on because I don't want to talk
It's
about
been a very, very busy week, and I think
So Jack, no.
it's gonna get busier next week, I think, as well. But busy, but I'm mentally preparing myself to see my family, which I haven't seen yet for Christmas. We're doing it tomorrow. So I'm just mentally preparing myself to like deal with that. And yeah, it should be okay and it should be fun, but it's never a fun one afterwards, kind of thing. So we'll see how it is.
Are you saying that your family
I just
are not
realised
fun
you
to
can't
hang
see my
around?
camera.
No, we can't.
Wow.
For tech reasons, you can't see my camera, but I've just realised I'm drinking a glass of Fanta. And that's very fitting, given
the hairstyle. So for audio listeners, I at 4K, about 6 months ago, I said I would do my hair the same colour as the Away kit. And I have not been able to find the colour in stock for 6 months. So we finally found it and we did it last Sunday, I want to say.
That's because it's just been snowing and they needed that colour to like dye all the sides,
cones.
the signs, the hazard signs and the hazard cones.
Well, I did offer my services to the people near me doing the building site. I wondered if they could just use my hair with like the spray where they need to dig and stuff. They can just take strands and just put it a line. But the thing is, it's what I said I would do, and I man of my word, it doesn't look that bad, but it is bright as anything.
I don't think I will say it's the most shocking I've ever seen your hair. Like I've seen you do some styles.
I think the blonde was quite shocking when I did that one.
The blonde made you look a bit trailer park, yeah, but this is like
I always thought that about when it was that weird, like when it was meant to be blue, but it went turquoisey, like frosted.
You know what it
green
looks like?
whatever.
It looks like the Oompa Loompas hair colour.
Yeah, it does.
It's that kind of thing, but it is closer, damn it, to the shirt. So
it's very striking. And again, I can't talk with my Jesus trim. You feel free to lay in. For some reason, my hair's gone like one of them.
I mean, we can't see you, so we can't lay into you. We can overhear.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
So,
it's a good point. So mine's puffed out today. So there's that side of it because I've literally washed it, watched the game, and then I'm straight on this podcast. So, yeah. But I've not decided to go orange, and I don't have, a widow's peak.
A widow's peak hairline. That's it's.
Yeah. I won't lie. Jack saying he's done his skincare routine to be on a video podcast and then keep it on is a bit of an oversight.
What time did you do the skincare routine? I'm interested.
Midday, 12 o'clock.
Why?
Because I don't know. All right? Don't judge me.
When you wake up before bed, isn't it? That's usually the way it goes.
But I went to the gym this morning, so I was going to then have a shower when I got home afterwards, and it would all just wash off. So I thought I'll delay it until I've been to the gym and do it after that. But look, why is this a deep dive into my? I don't like it. I feel like there's a box. There's the box of Jack that's being like crowbarred open, and it's the box of Jack that I like to keep off the internet. And you two are like, ooh, Gordon Freeman with your neon hazmat suit, bloody hair, coming along with your crowbar, being like, no, we're going to open this box.
And therein your point of why we do it.
Yes.
I think it might just be because you've come onto the podcast like you're going to sleep. You've got your dressing gown on and you've just done your skincare
it's a very
routine.
Comfortable, very cozy woolly fleece. Okay. Dear God.
I thought you were
not a dressing. Seriously, that's not a dressing gown.
No.
I thought you were 25, 26. You're going on 66, 67.
Look, this particular item of clothing.
That's just the age of the girls he's courting. Come on.
How's your
this particular cardigan may be popular amongst 60-year-olds, but it's really comfortable. And so I was like, I don't care. I'm going to wear it.
I value comfort. I appreciate it. My week, thank you, has been chill, actually, this week. Pretty chill. Getting some things in order. I'm in the mild panic stage of my tax is due in 6 days and my accountant hasn't messaged me yet with how much I owe. they did message me on the 27th last year, so it was getting close. So I'm sort of like, if I don't hear anything probably on Monday, I might go, hey,
That sounds like
I need to ring
accountant.
HMRC
Jesus
and go,
Christ.
you what, sorry?
That sounds like Chancery's accountant.
Yeah.
No, well, it's because obviously I'm just a sole training tax return, so it's a case of like with that, it's more of a case of he'll do it to the last minute because it's not as complex. But I do worry a little, and to be fair, I only do submit mine at the end of December because I don't get my forms in until then. But I do start to worry when it gets to this stage of like, what if I have been forgotten? So there will be a phone call probably on Monday or Tuesday going,
you've also got the thing.
Do I need to ring HMRC and go, please don't fine me £1,000?
You've also got the thing that at the end of this month is when all the stuff for the podcast stuff come out, innit? All the dues and stuff.
It's February, actually.
Is it Feb now?
February's awful because it's Sophie's birthday, which is lovely, don't get me wrong, but it's when all the expenses come out for everything. And it's close off the end of the Christmas stuff. And my main work is one of those places that pays you like on the 20th of December.
Oh,
so you're brassic mid-January.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But no, it's been pretty chill apart from that. Watching all the football. We haven't spoke, obviously, since the fan forum debacle, so there's a lot to go on from that. Let's get into the football side of it now, shall we? After we've thoroughly probed into Jack's private life and skincare routine. It's just great because Jack's always in this place where you can easily wind him up.
This is why he makes a great streamer, because you get those reactions.
Yeah. The box of Jack. Jack in the box, so to speak.
The Pandora's box of Jack.
Right, so Sheffield Wednesday played Leeds on Sunday. I don't really want to talk about this because it's like the most undeserved 3-0 I've seen in a while.
It wasn't
a 3-0,
was it?
But we weren't like great, but I thought we played quite well, believe it or not, for a 3-0 loss. I know that's a bit weird to say, but Jake, how do you feel about this one?
I thought this was a 0-0, 1-1 kind of game. I didn't think it was 3-0. I thought we held our own quite well. Didn't really make too many chances. But I think it just came to that last little bit where their quality shone through. And that's what we're missing. We're missing that quality that they got to kind of break teams up and kind of change it around a little bit. And it was just annoying because I thought we actually played some good football. And a lot of Leeds fans have said they didn't think it was 3-0 either, but they'll take it anyway. And
they only got the third because that was direct counter-attacking football, like when we were going for it, you know.
And I think the only thing that I have with this one, which annoyed me watching it, was constantly them going to Chancery in the stand. And it's like, there's a game going on. Can we just concentrate on the game? We've had enough of talking about this. Can we just concentrate on the game? And it's just really annoying that it was that game before, after everything had happened, and it was just constant. And it wasn't a 3-0 game.
No. It wasn't. Jack?
It's just like, if you actually look at their bench, never mind their starting 11, their bench, those players on the Leeds bench would start in 95% of the teams in the championship. Like, the strength in depth that Leeds have got is just absolutely ridiculous. And they are, like, I hate to say it because it's Leeds, they are very deservingly with the quality they have, like, top two. Probably even should be totally walking the league. But it's ridiculous how good their quality of players are. And it's
a mate of mine's a Leeds fan, and I went to his surprise birthday party last week, and he went to the Leeds game, and he was actually going to say, "Do you want to come along with me?" Yeah. And I was like, like, can you imagine? Like, we're not well known by any stretch of the imagination, but there is Leeds fans in our comments, and all it takes is one to recognise me in a Leeds home end with a mate. And I was just like, it can't happen. It just can't happen because all it takes is one to recognise, and you're probably in a bit of trouble.
Yeah.
But yeah, even he was like, when I was speaking to him that afternoon, he agreed that it wasn't 3-0. But
they should
I
be
just
at
thought
least.
Beadle was at fault for the first goal, and then we had to try and get back into it. You know, I don't know why he's not just smothering that. Obviously, it feels a bit like ancient history now because it was a week ago, but still, he should have been smothering that, and we shouldn't have been in that position because then we're fighting an uphill battle for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where I can see what you're trying to do. But again, this is the difference between a 19-year-old goalkeeper learning his craft. This is why he come out to Wednesday to get this experience to improve on. But he does have this in his locker where he'll make these mistakes or he'll push it out, expect the defender to get it and doesn't. I thought Michael Owickway was absolutely fantastic at the back though. And he's everything we've been needing for ages. The thing is, you just now need to try and find someone like a Whitway, but a little bit younger with the experience, because I think that's where we're just slightly...
Well, we're still linked with that guy who was on trial with us, weren't we? I don't think we've got it in the document this week, but...
Oh, Hatsu.
Yeah. I don't know if there's been movement, but there's still
there
murmurs
about that. There
about
meant to be
that.
talks this week, and then there was going to be a decision some point end of last week going into this week. So I don't know if it's been done or not. It's one of the ones that I'd like to see us do the deal, but it all depends on what we can get done and in terms of how we go about deal, because I can see him a little bit like Marvin Johnson's replacement if we did it.
Yeah.
Just because he's 27, like for a left back, he got something due for like 47 assists, which is insane. But what we got to do, we've got to make sure we get the right people in, and it's just we got a week left and it's going to be difficult. But in this game, it's just annoying because I've spoken to a couple of Leeds fans and they actually reckon they should be at least 8 to 12 points ahead of where they are because they keep throwing away games away from home. I thought when we went into this game, I was worried about this game, but I don't think we did that bad. And again, I think if it's the small margins that we don't seem to get on the end of.
Yeah, it was just a typical one, and I watched it, and again, I've said it about every single derby we've played, and it'll be nice if we beat, United, it's going to be very difficult, but I'm not gonna be. I'm just not. I don't know about you lads, and I don't know if it's obviously it's the first time since we've had both sets of those derbies since I've moved away, sort of thing. But I don't think it's that, because I'm still obviously in it as much as I've always been. I'm not feeling the same when we lose them.
No.
Like, because of the process we're in, and there's more at stake and there's more going on around it. The Leeds one just was water off a duck's back because of all the Chansiri stuff that was going off, to be honest. I was like, we've got bigger issues. Do you know what I mean? I'm not even thinking about that. But I'll tell you what was a bit frustrating. And is there an example of Danny making a point in this game? Sheffield Wednesday 2, Bristol City 2. Talk us through this one, Punk.
Right, this one was a weird one because I felt we were really good in the first half. I thought we did okay, but we weren't able to capitalise as well as we can do. I thought the Gassama goal was very good. The thing with the Gassama goal, though, did anyone notice that he got in front of Ugbo to take the goal off him a little bit? Which I don't mind, kind of thing. But that is the ball what you want to play to Ugbo in that area.
Yeah.
But Gassama got a little bit more confidence. He got that ability to see it there and go for it. So I didn't mind. But you like going, okay, this is good. We're doing good stuff and we're playing some really good football in the first half. Second half looked okay, but then we started doing the substitutions. And the subs really changed the game because it really... We don't have the quality. We don't have the depth. We're up to make...
I was thinking, because he took Shea Charles off when he did, he's sort of saying to Chansiri, look how much we need this guy. Yeah,
It did feel like that, didn't it? It did feel like this is what we're going to have left if I don't get him back. How am I going to fix this? And the thing is, what annoyed me in the second half was, this goal, and it was a bad goal for to concede again, and then we go and make it 2-2, but make it 2-1, and it's a fantastic goal by Bernard. I really did like the goal, but we always get to like the 70th minute and just sit back. And you can tell this is not what Danny's asked them to do. Because you can see him on the sideline going absolutely mental, going, go forward, go forward.
Yeah.
And it's like somebody on that pitch is telling them to sit back and not listening to the gaffer. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all because that's undermining your manager. You want to do...
I get frustrated because we don't do well when we invite pressure on. Our best game is when we're trying to link things up and make things happen. Because, against Leeds, we did concede on the counter. But we rarely... Touch wood, like looking at our season this season, we rarely concede on the actual counter. We usually tend to intercept it and get it back. So but the time we concede is when we're letting the pressure get piled on, the atmosphere gets around, things get a bit tetchy in the stadium because the opposition team start putting pressures on and getting corner after corner. And that's when we start to mentally then just concede a scrappy goal.
You know what annoys me when we conceded the goal though? It got to 2-2 and then Masaba decided to bomb on and do runs again and start to attack us. Like, where was that?
No one was doing any
ago?
Attacking moves when we were still ahead. It's like they thought, oh, okay, 2-0 or 2-1, that's enough. Like, no, continue trying to score until the final whistle. That's what Danny wants you to do. Not, we're ahead till 70 minutes. Okay, Barry Bannon's now going to decide to start telling everyone, we can sit back now, lads. We just soak up the pressure and just manage the rest of the timeout. Like, no, that may have been the plan last year, but with the new way of doing things this year that Danny's tried to implement, you keep going until the end to try and keep scoring. It doesn't matter if you're 0-0, 1-0, 2-0, whatever.
Well, we do it a lot more at home than away.
I mean, yes, there might be the home atmosphere or the slightly diminished home atmosphere when compared to last year that's sort of doing it around this time of the year and into the second half of the season. That might contribute a bit to the lesser intensity of the players on the pitch or whatever. But at the end of the day, that shouldn't really faze them much, I guess. Like that shouldn't be... If the manager's telling you to do something and you're all constantly backing the manager and being like, yeah, we love work, we love playing under him, we love the way that we're doing, we're learning something new every day. Like, okay, why are you not implementing what he wants you to do tactically for the full game? Why are you then deciding to go rogue and go back to what you're used to and comfortable with under Darren Moore even, and just sitting back at like 70 minutes? It's so frustrating because that's how we're conceding. And it's
not even clever game management, because clever game management in that regard is to slow things down.
Yeah. We don't even do that.
We don't just saving the legs. It literally just feels like saving the legs for the next game.
We stick 10 men behind the ball. That's the problem. Like everybody comes back, and it's a frustrating one. And I think it's something that when you have got a team like ours that relies on the press and the intensity, it all falls apart a bit when you don't do that.
Yeah.
We're relying on killing off games and having that intensity to see through games. Whereas I think some of the players obviously then do try and preserve the legs a little bit.
Yeah.
I think back to, there's an example of that Leeds team that got promoted. Yes, they ran out of steam a little bit sort of midway through the season, but then they had sort of a resurgence. If you're going to play that style, and that's, that intensity is what Danny wants as well, you need a squad that can run for the 90 minutes, which is why this is the difference now that we need to see in this window with those substitutions being able to bring on that. When we took Gassama off, I felt we looked like we just didn't have an outlet because Gassama was running that game.
The thing I got is Paul didn't really get into the game at all like he normally does. He's normally one that's up for it and go for it. I'm very surprised we didn't bring Kabashi on, because I thought it would made for him to go run at them while they're on the break, just have that counter and let him run and have someone go up the side with him. And I thought that it was an ideal game for him to come back on and do well in. And fair play to Danny. He did turn around and come out and say it was on me a little bit. I made the stuff wrong. But again, as people said, has that been a bit of game management in terms of going, this is what I got. I haven't got the strongest bent to do what I want to do. And the thing is, what just annoys me is that this was a game with a team that was in the same position as us in the league, and you win it, you go above, and then you're going a bit further on. You can push on again. And we get into the position where we're in a position where we can leapfrog and go a bit further up in the table, and then we freeze. Or we do something like this. And I said it a lot so far this season. We are playing like a mid-table team. Mid-table teams draw a hell of a lot of games. And that's what we are seeming to be this season so far.
I forgot like the names of old that Bristol City have got in that squad now. They've got some players that were like big names for a while, like back in the Championship. You just look at it's like obviously Naki Wells and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like on the score sheet, and I was like, have I been transported back? Like
they've got a load of Derby's best players as well from that season. They went down and then the first. Yeah, exactly. Like it's insane. And then they're just being.
But they're a team that we should have really been beating. And I must say, Marvin Johnson did have a stinker in that game, so it's a case of we need to find his form a little bit. Obviously, there's talks about personal stuff going on that you read all over Twitter, but I'm going to just look at the football specifically.
He was very Marmite in that game. Did some really good bit, but then went off the boil.
Really let himself down, with defensive decisions or something like that, and
you can't even give it to that point of him being tired or something because he's been dropped for a couple of games. It's
really frustrating when like the players are sort of saying in their pressers and to the press and all that sort of stuff. Like we really want to make something of this season. We really want to do good things with this season. We really want to kick on. Okay, show us on the pitch then, please. Stop doing that for 70 minutes of the 90 and do it for the 90. Because it's all a mental thing. Or if they just applied themselves mentally and switched on and stayed switched on in focus levels or whatever else, then they will kick on and do things and make a good thing out of the season. They've just got to be consistent and they've got to pick up the ability to keep focused and not just have this weird, we'll rest our legs a bit now. It's been 70 minutes, we're 2-0 up. Great.
This season, we're 10-8-10, 38 points. Our home record is 5-6-4, 21 points. Our away record is 5-2-6, which I don't think have been updated since today. We scored about 40 goals. We conceded about 45. We got an XG for 36.7. We got an XG against at 42.6. We're -5. I think that goes down to -4, -3 goal difference now. We are in, if you look at that home and away record, it's not that bad. But that home record should be a lot higher. And I think we've thrown a lot of games away at home, where away from home we seem to pick up and go for it a lot more. So, and
it's worth mentioning we would be joint sixth if we'd have well, no, we wouldn't. We'd have been seventh basically if we'd have beat Bristol City.
And we're also
that's how tight it is.
I think we're also the top team of all teams in the Championship that have won the most points from losing positions in games. And it's like, why do we have to keep going behind in a losing position to then go and get a result? Why can't we just do what we... I mean, it's nice that we did it today against QPR, but why are these sort of occasions so few and far between? Why have we got to go behind all the time to then get the result? I don't get it. I don't get the mental side of that.
I think it's a case of it's good to see that we can do it for once, because obviously there's been question marks over whether we could do that or not in the past. But I agree. That's the thing though, isn't it? We've got players. We haven't got necessarily, for me, a squad that will consistently perform at that level, which is why we need to add to it, and we'll get into that a little bit later on. But let's go over the Championship review. So these are let's just do this weekend's games, and well, let's do the midweek games, and then I will bring you today's game. Are we
skipping QPR completely then?
Oh, QPR, yeah, of course. Sorry.
From today.
I'm so used to only having two games. Yeah. QPR. That first half, there wasn't much in it. It was a bit boring, to be honest, in my opinion. But Jake, talk us through, obviously, anything you want to highlight from that first half and then into the second half.
I think we controlled it to a point to just be in the game. I thought QPR had some chances and they didn't bury them. I think they had 5 shots, none on target, and we had 3 and 2. And the thing is, you're thinking we can't have what we've had. And I was worried about this game because QPR form has been absolutely fantastic. I think there was second in the form guide at home, and I think there was third away. They have really been on a march recently and done really well. But in this one, Danny changed it. He made the right subs at the right time. Patterson started, and I think Patterson had an excellent game. And the thing is, in this game, he had a really good game, got into it a lot and played some good football. The goal Michael Smith scored, he was looking for that because he pointed to Bannon before the goal go, play it here. Bannon does, and it's just a death touch off the back of his head. And it trundles over the line, and it's a really good goal. A lot of people were calling for Smith to play last game.
Don't it hit the woodwork?
Yeah, it did hit the post. It hit the post to go then. It's a lovely goal. And you're thinking, brilliant, keep this going. But then QPR try and get back into it. Again, it was Allison as ref. We all know what he's like. He's the referee that was against Watford. So it was a bit stop-start at times.
He really likes to be the main character, doesn't he? He really wants to be the main character in every game that he referees and officiates.
Pato nearly made it 2-0 with a really good touch. It just rolled past the post. And then Pato wins it on the 87th, and it was on a counter, which is funnily enough saying that we don't do counters that often. This was on a counter. It was a very good playing counter, got it forward, hit it outside the box, makes it 2-0. And the thing is, Gassama had another excellent game. First half, he didn't do very well on that left-hand side because they doubled on him. Then second half, they changed it and he managed to beat him man. And the only thing I got is with how well Gassama's doing at minute, teams are going to start doubling, putting 2 men on him at times. And he's shown that he can get past that and win free kicks, which we need to really utilise a lot better. We had a lot of corners in that game, which we did well with. Beadle had a really good save, but he also in the first half nearly gifted them a goal with his goal kick out. But it's 3 points, but more importantly, it's a clean sheet, which is something that we've been begging for ages. I think this is our first clean sheet since Stoke, I want to say. I could be wrong, but I think it's the Stoke game, which was back in December. And that's good. And results went our way as well this week.
Yeah, no, it's gone in that way. What were your thoughts on today's game against QPR?
It was very scrappy, and QPR does what they always do so well at home, and that's utilize that smaller pitch that they've got. We've always struggled in the past on in grounds that have got a smaller pitch like that, and it did start off that way a little bit, but as Jake said as well, Danny changed it tactically and everything to actually accommodate that a bit more. I think the wingers came in and we started playing more centrally and stuff. But it was just, I don't know, it was annoying that we were so under the cosh just simply out of not being able to really control it very well when we were in possession. And we just kept losing the ball all the time. Like they were cutting passes out all the time, but then our first touches and our passes into space were just a bit sloppy and a bit all over the place in the first half. And then obviously second half, it's totally different. We absolutely start dominating really from ironically the 70th. It's like they were saving their legs for the entire first half and the entire first 60 minutes this time rather than the final 20. But the sort of 70th minute and onwards, it was just relentless pressing. And it's like they got it a different way around this game. But like Michael Smith's deft header was just absolutely sublime, and it's like he brought a commanding to the front line as well that was really missing, I think. And just Pato, I'm just so glad that Pato got on and played so well because he's had a long time out, and I don't know, I feel like he's not been utilised as much as he probably should have been in previous games as well. But it's nice.
I just don't think. I think he struggles to fit in this system all the time, and he's a utility player. And I think I like Pato. I've always liked Pato, and it was a great goal today. But I do think it's one of those situations where I think this will be Pato's last season.
Yeah,
and I want to see him play a little bit more, but that's what I want to. But I also think maybe with a system we've got now, we're beyond utility players like that in terms of coming in and, sometimes a game needs him it's really difficult, actually, because I feel like I'm going in circles in my own head trying to talk about this one here. But I do feel like potentially I just feel like he's not going to play. And I feel like he will get the odd opportunity like that. But I feel like what we saw today is what we can expect of Patterson for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And if we are looking for the next step with this team, it kind of has to be. We need to bring in quality this window so we don't have to necessarily, Pato can be a luxury option to bring on and run about a bit and put himself about a bit when we're already a couple of goals up. Do you know what I mean?
Ironically,
not
I
being
actually
the player
think
that comes
Pato
on
would fit really well in a team like QPR. I think the way they play, Pato would fit really well in. But yeah, it's like you say. I think the system we're doing now is.
I've never seen him so much as, well, I probably did at times. This podcast has got a long history of me probably saying, yeah, he's all right in that system. I've always liked him more defensive than I have attack him. And I don't think with the way we play, it's difficult because you don't want to be openly critical of a player who's just scored, but I just don't think, do you think he fits a Danny Rule system?
There are times where he does and there are times where he doesn't. And I think it's about picking I think he's one of those players, he's not a case of does he fit the game we're playing. So if we know there's a team that's going to be quite physical with us, that's the game you play him in because he can get in their faces. He can do that bully tactic where I think there were games where we brought him on and he just looked isolated because they've been technically gifted as a team, and that's not in his wheelhouse at times to try and do that. He get in.
I can see that. Yeah, that's probably a better way of me just going around than me going around the houses, Jay. Yeah, that's well put.
I do think sometimes he'd actually be better at doing Paul Valentine's role.
Yeah,
than Paul Valentine has been.
That's
in the
where
past.
He started, isn't it?
And I think like if he gets utilised there a bit more, then he actually might feature a bit more. And I don't know, because he does the same sort of things as Paul Valentine does.
Just a bit of an appreciation post on this one as well. Max Lowe has been fantastic the last couple of games.
Yeah, he's been brilliant.
He's really come into his own and he's shown what he can do. And I think some people were a bit worried when he came in at the start of the season because of his injury record. But he has just been fantastic. He's one of those ones where you know he's on the pit, but you don't need to know he's there, if that makes sense.
I mean, he only had the bad injury record last. Sorry, go on, James.
Oh yeah, no, carry on.
I think that Max Lowe had a bad injury record last season at United because he was just managed horrifically. Like he came back from the first time that he broke his ankle, and Wilder didn't give him the recovery period that he should have done, and just put him right back in the team because they were desperate to try and get results in that Premier League, and they weren't doing it, and so he was rushing Max Lowe back into the team. And he then re-injured the same injury because of that. He wasn't eased in back.
I think he's had more support in our team as well, and playing him in this new role, as a centre back as well, has been, and varying him a little bit has been good for him. Yeah, and I think you're seeing a player come out there, and I think he could be one of those players that quietly becomes he could be here for a long time if he keeps just coasting on like that. We have players like, just think of Iorfa, the way he coasted very, very well for us for a long time. Obviously now there's question marks nowadays, but it took quite a few years for us to get there about Iorfa. Do you know what I mean? Like he was just in, and you always knew he'd be in and around the team. And Max Lowe could very much put himself in that position. So let's go now to the championship review. So we have the midweek fixtures, which were Blackburn Rovers 0, Coventry 2, Hull City 1, QPR 2. So QPR had just beat Hull City. Yeah. Now, Hull City clearly beat teams that are meant to be half decent, which we'll get to in this week's weekend's roundup in a minute. Derby County 0, Sunderland 1, Middlesbrough 2, West Brom 0, Swansea 1, Sheffield United 2, Watford 1, Preston 2, Oxford 3, Luton 2, Millwall 2, Cardiff City 2, Wednesday 2, Bristol City 2, Portsmouth 3, Stoke City 1, Leeds United 2, Norwich City 0, and Plymouth Argyle 0, Burnley 5.
Also on Plymouth, they are getting dismantled. They just lost Whittaker to Middlesbrough for 8 million.
their owners are basically asset stripping at this point, but just the players, not anything else. They're prepping for League One.
It's a case of if they reinvest well, then they could establish themselves as a higher end League One side, but they have completely dismantled their chances of the Championship now. Sheffield United, this is the weekend's fixtures. So Sheffield United 0, Hull City 3.
It's a good game of Wales.
Oh dear.
Yeah, they've got too many players injured though, and too many players out of position. That's what Wilder was saying, and we must trust him.
And Hull have spent so much money on their players. They've spent. Oh no, they've spent. Even though we've spent 40 million quid on our 2 forwards alone. Oh no, Hull, they've splashed the cash way too much. Oh. That was the
Luton
usual.
Town 0, Millwall 1, Stoke 0, Oxford 0, Norwich 5, Swansea 1, West Brom 5, Portsmouth 1. That's an interesting couple of fixtures there. Preston 2, Middlesbrough 1, QPR 0, Wednesday 2, Cardiff City 2, Derby County 1, Sunderland 2, Plymouth 2. By the way, Plymouth were leading in that game against Sunderland, and it ended level. Coventry 2, Watford 1, Bristol City 2, and Blackburn Rovers 1. With, at the time of recording this podcast, Burnley Lee's still to play. You what?
Just a thought on those Plymouth fans. They left their houses at 2 a.m. to go to that game and watch it just come away with just a point.
I know very well. I live up that way now, don't I? Northeast.
Yeah, you do.
So I know how far it would be down there. You don't realise how north the northeast is until you move to the northeast.
Until you have to get up there, yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, it's more of a case of going down from anywhere. Like, if I just come back, I'm like looking at over 2 hours just to come back. And I'm like, right, but I'm not that far, but anywhere mileage-wise, I'm not, but it's, well, actually, mileage-wise, I am. That's the problem. The A1's not bad, to be fair. Northbound. It's not bad at all. But let's take it onto the table. Leeds sit at the top on 59. Behind them are Sheffield United on 58. Third are Burnley with 56. However, if Burnley do beat Leeds, they will push United out of the top 2 and they've got a game in hand on them. Yep. Sunderland on 55 points in 4th. Middlesbrough on 44 points on 5th. The same with West Brom, so that's 5th and 6th. Blackburn Rovers are just behind them with 42 points. Bristol City, 8th, 41 points. So it's not like we played a team that aren't in and around, but we were better than Bristol City. We should have got the win. Watford, 41 points in 9th, and Wednesday, 41 points in 10th. So we are joint 8th at the minute, only behind on it because of our -3 goal difference. Norwich City in 11th on 39 points. And then if you look at the bottom, Plymouth have got 22 points. The relegation zone is made up of them, Luton Town on 26 and Derby County on 27.
Oh, no.
Would be an interesting one. And Derby, by the way, have lost their last 5 games looking at this form total, at least their last 5 games.
And I've got it on good authority that they are their owner is absolutely not thinking remotely of sacking Paul Warne, because he's totally committed to giving Paul Warne the time that he needs to make sure that they are stable in the Championship, even though their fan base has wanted Paul Warne gone since the end of November.
It's interesting on the manager stuff as well. Look at West Brom to get Mowbray back into management, and he started to get them performing. Watford, the rumour was Tom Cleverley was going to get sacked.
With 1 point,
and now that's been
the playoffs,
and they're outside the playoffs.
That was the most ridiculous statement I've ever seen. Just because our club is an absolute joke, we're just confirming that our manager is still going to be our manager on the touchline this evening because everybody's speculating. It's ridiculous. I honestly thought it was a parody account. I had to check.
Yeah,
I did
so did I.
You know somebody in the admin gone, we really should put a statement about this. Why? Well, it's very us.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very us that we would actually be sacking him, so we should probably say we're not sacking him. And it's just rumours. And then they'll sack him.
Yeah, they will.
That's the thing.
And then they won't make playoffs, and then, oh no, Tom Cleverley's sacked. Great. Okay.
let's move on to the news. So there's one really big piece of news. Shay Charles has returned to Sheffield Wednesday after a short couple of days down south, if that. He is now back with Sheffield Wednesday for the full season. There's a few things I feel about this, but I'm going to start with Jack. Shay Charles, here to stay. How are you feeling?
It's amazing that he is here to stay. The original loan agreement was, of course, that he would be here to stay, and they recalled him just because, he's doing well. We can now milk the teams that are after him as well for even more money. And I'm actually a little bit worried about that, how this deal might have impacted our transfer plans, because I'm very worried that they've demanded a fee that might have ended up like potentially going, we've not got much money now set aside for any other signings. But I'm
that's my
just
worry.
Purely
This is taking a big chance of any transfer budget we might have had.
Because there's loads of those, like the Southampton in the know people all over social media. They're all posting like the bloody Wolf of Wall Street thing. When Leo's on the phone to that guy trying to get him to buy shares, and then he's doing all the hand gestures that he's totally doing him in. All these Southampton inside, in the know people have all been tweeting that about the Shay Charles deal. And it's a bit like, I'm a bit worried about this, but I'm thrilled that he's staying because he's been arguably our player of the season and probably will end up being voted our player of the season by the end of the season.
I'm thrilled he's staying because you're losing him from the draft at the end of January.
Damn it. I was doing so
you
well.
banked on him getting recalled.
Doing so well.
Hey, if we don't sign another midfielder, though, he does go back into the pool and you might get him back. It's just a case of roulette then.
It was coerced that I should get rid of him because of how Jake had to get temporary emergency loans of other people.
That's not what happened at all. Go watch that episode back. I literally said, I put the seed in your head. I went, hey, he might get recalled, Jack. Are you sure you don't want to? Yeah, that's what got in your head. Because I had a feeling he wasn't going to get recalled.
As I've just said, it was coerced. The seed was put in my head.
But to be fair, like if we don't sign it, you only really lose in inverted quotes if we sign a midfielder or someone that classes a midfielder. You get them automatically.
Yeah.
But if we don't, he then goes back in with the other midfielders and it'll be a random pick.
Yeah.
And you know in your luck, you'll get him back anyway.
Oh, I won't.
So
that's not how, I'm not a lucky person at all. That's not my luck at all.
Have you not seen the draft where you've done nothing with it and you're ahead?
But we've just got to sit there and hope that our players do well.
Yeah, but you missed two of the updates of the draft. And you're going, I'm not a lucky person, and you're still storming it. You're like the person who did the EFL.
It's not even
Fantasy
if you missed
League.
him and even knew how you'd done. You just you didn't pay any attention to it, looked out, and then came back to it and were winning.
I mean, you can say the same about Sheffield United fans now that they're at the top of the league rather than getting relegated from the Prem. But I'm just balancing out I don't know, waffling.
I will say for me, one of the things that I keep having to remind Wednesday fans, you do realise this isn't a new signing, right?
Yeah, technically we've not signed anybody yet.
This is still having the same amount of players we had at the start of the window. Just with what?
This is not a centre-back or a striker, which we desperately need.
I'm not saying that him not signing isn't a good thing, but I do feel like it does feel like Southampton panicked that they were losing their lad who they had on loan from Chelsea. Like, oh, right, we're calling him back, bringing him back because we're not too sure and stuff like that. So they panicked and then they've gone, well, he's doing actually really well. And the deal we originally had him on wasn't that good for us. So can you do this instead? And the thing is, then all the story came out on the 30th saying, there's a deadline. We have a deadline to get him signed by in 24 hours. If it's not done in 24 hours, he's gone.
It opens up the floor to the other teams and stuff like that, didn't it? Yeah.
And you had like Sheffield.
And that's when the six figures has been banded about. I've heard different things. I've heard 250. I've heard 500. I would think it's probably 250 we spent for him. I think 250k. Do you know what? I don't like it because if you think in League One, like that's a player.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But necessarily not terrible. It's not necessarily terrible for Wednesday, that 250k for the 6 months of Charles, the caliber he's been for us this season. I don't like it because it's a player's wages, isn't it, to bring in on loan, which is my worry. That's my concern. But I think Shea Charles is so important to us in that midfield.
I also think Shea made a big think up at Southampton going, I'm not going.
Yeah.
Fix this because I do not want to go. You told me I was there for the season. Why am I going back? Fix it now.
Yeah.
Because I think he's enjoyed just playing 13 football week in, week out. And I think
you could tell he had no idea what was going on. Like he was like, I just want to get my head down and play football. It was Southampton not looking after their player, basically.
Yeah.
And this could have backfired. Luckily, it's weird. Credit to Chansiri for actually stumping up the loan fee for him. But I feel like if we'd not put as much emphasis on this and done the business a little bit quieter, then we wouldn't have been in this situation anyway.
I do love at the end of the game that Danny grabs the Shea and pushes him quite violently in front of the Wednesday fan to do the thing like, you will go over there. I have not spent the entire this week panicking about you. Bugger off.
No, it's great to have him here. He spoke really well as well, and he's just a 21-year-old lad that wants to play football, but that plays like a player that's just played for years.
I won't lie. Every time he opens his mouth, I forget he's a Manc. I forget he's got a Mancunian accent. Because you look when he speaks, he's like, I'm expecting, because I know what country he plays for. I'm expecting the accent. And then it like comes out with
You're expecting him to come out speaking like this, and then he sounds proper Manc.
And does anybody who plays for Northern Ireland have a Northern Irish accent?
That's a good point, actually.
I mean, do they want to compete on the world stage? In that case, probably not.
But I think for me,
Jack, you just love to banter everyone, don't you? I mean, it's true, but like.
But for me, getting it done is good. But now we've got a week where we need to get a striker in, a centre back, and possibly another midfielder. And the window shuts on the third.
I think we're going to have to compromise somewhere with the Shea deal that's in there. I will take one story from the Star. Sheffield Wednesday are interested in the Star understands that one name under consideration is that of Emmanuel Dennis, a Nigerian international currently at Premier League Nottingham Forest. The 27-year-old is believed to be one of the number of forward players that the Owls are weighing up, though we are told it would be likely to be a tricky deal to pull off. That's not any better, is it? I thought I was going to say, I was trying to avoid saying pull off, but there we are. Should they make him a prime target? A number of other clubs are said to be interested in the forward in English football and abroad. I don't know really with this one, because for me, looking at his record, he had a good record a little while ago, but looking at his recent record
when he was in the Championship was good. Now
it was, but I don't see why we wouldn't be front runners for him.
That whole thing, it was, and I think if you actually bring him in and you actually play him as the hold-up man, which is I think is what you'll be using him for, I think it's a good deal. Now it all depends on what we can get done with Forest and stuff like that, but it's one of those weird ones where I like the idea of it, but I also don't at the same time. It's like, is it a body for body's sake, or is it because we want him to play that hold-up role where Smith can play that, but Smith can get a bit of a break and have the thing? Because all this week and last week, there've been the talks of, Smith is going to Wrexham, but they've really died down now. You haven't seen much of it anymore, and it's like it's a weird one with Michael Smith. He's got a year left on his. No, he hasn't. He's got 5 months left on his deal at the end of this. He's 33 and he's out of contract. But then you see what he's done today, and you go, we need him in those kind of positions. Is this a case of we see what Dennis can do to give us that extra attacker up top? I don't know. It's a weird one because I don't know if it's... I'll be honest with you, it doesn't feel like a Danny style signing.
No, he also scored his goals for Watford in the Championship under Xisco Munoz, so that doesn't fill me full of confidence. Jack?
See, I was actually speaking to my neighbour about this because my neighbour is a massive Forest fan who really likes Wednesday. So we just talk about football like all the time, Wednesday and Forest and stuff, ever. And he says that Emmanuel Dennis will be a really, really good signing for a team in our predicament of not being able to score a lot from the actual striker position unless it's Michael Smith.
Isn't he more of a Jamal Lowe, though? Mainly a wide midfield, like a winger, sort of that side.
Don't put that hand up, Jake. There's an orange man in America that's been having friends doing the hand up.
Left-hand side, so sod you, shut up.
Okay.
I have an issue. He hasn't played many games, so how long does it take him to get to match fitness?
It's a very good point. You see, it's not like when we brought Ugbo in last season off the back end of playing for Cardiff. He wasn't. He played for Cardiff for half a season.
Because if we can't get him fit during like February, he comes fit in March, that's all well and good. But then we got a break in the middle of March where there's no football again.
I think beggars can't be choosers at this stage, unfortunately. And I feel like we are falling into the line of beggars, though, aren't we, as well, which is a problem.
Yeah.
I'll do the FIFA thing, because why not? I remember him looking good on FIFA, actually. I think he's a 72 rated silver, if I remember.
I always use that website, So FIFA, because it normally gives you like the potential rating on career mode and all that.
We're not going to promote any specific sites on this because they actually can pay sponsorships because I know they do.
Right.
Especially on this channel because I do FIFA content. That's absolutely fine. Other sites are available.
Of course.
And if you want to pay me 30 grand a month or whatever you pay some of these big people to direct the traffic, then please do. That's what coin sponsors used to do, on FIFA. They used to get 30 grand a month. Jesus. I hit it at the wrong time, lads. I hit all the team at the wrong time. Right. Yeah, Dennis, 72 rated silver, left mid, pace 85, 71 shooting, 63 passing, 75 dribbling, 41 defending, and 70 physical. So he will have some good evos. Currently, if you had all the evos, you could get him up to an 89 rated. But I definitely think he'll fit in quite a few.
I'm going to say a name here, and it's no one will link with. And it's nothing I've heard, right? But he's not getting any team in the Prem. And he scored in the Championship before. Do you think Chansiri could swallow with pride and let George Hurst come back?
No, is the answer.
Would you be against it?
I think it would make sense. I wouldn't know because I put the team first. And a lot of wrongs could be written, actually, with a loan move like that. But I do not think our owner would do it.
Jack?
If we got him on just a loan, I think I'd do it. Yeah.
See, I'd do it in a heartbeat because of how much he scored for Ipswich. But again, it's literally all down to that whole thing of can Chansiri forgive and forget about all of that souring of the negotiations with David Hurst? And I mean, I don't like the odds, given that he's literally alienated every single club legend from the club over the last 5 years. And that's just... he's the ideal.
I think George Hurst would be up for this, actually, believe it or not, because if you think about it, it's a 6-month loan. Wednesday are firing. He could actually help fire us into the playoffs. He'd have that in his mind.
I think he personally would come. I think he would say yes. It's all about Chansiri being able to move on and forgive and forget, and I don't know. But I would say yes. We need that sort of
I don't like the way it went down, and I slated George Hurst for it, but I put my club first, and he is a striker that knows the back of the net. Last season in this league, he wasn't prolific, but he scored 7 goals in 26 appearances, which, apart from Windass, is better than most of our players. I think we've actually got someone else on 8. Might be lying.
Is it Smith?
I think it might be Smith, yeah.
I'll look into the stats later. But from a striking output, obviously that's only in 26 appearances as well. If he played a season under this manager, I actually see this happening if we do sell Smith to Wrexham.
Yeah.
I don't see it the other way round because I actually think
the problem
Danny Rule might use him like he uses Smith, actually.
The problem you've got, and it's a big problem, is we can't let anyone go until we let someone in.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
Like, if we can't do what we did last season, and in theory, we did it the start of this season, we let Bambo go without bringing in another centre-back.
Do you know what's a bit weird, though? Because aren't there talks about, like, Wrexham are looking to pay like 750, 500 to 750 or something for Smith.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, if we've just spent 250 on Charles's loan, right, we're going to lose Smith in the summer anyway. We get him off our wage bill.
I have the Cat
and
22.
We get a cash injection.
I have this really big Cat 22 because I've been saying for years, when they get into the last month of the contract, in January, sell them. Then we make the money, but we can't.
I absolutely understand people saying he's worth like 500 to 750k to us. I get that. I do. But if we could just make the right, like, if he pays for 2 loans and he pays for a centre-back and a striker, I say do it.
But we've been saying for years, all the sensible people have been saying for years that what the club needs to do is sell players when they've reached their sort of peak, and it would be more beneficial to sell them. And now that we've got that sort of a situation when it's a valuable asset that we can use that money to reinvest and all that jazz, loads of people are saying, don't do it. Give him another contract. And it's like, well, we're now going to then end up giving him another contract.
I do not see him having another contract under Rull.
But
I just don't see it happening. Because
there's loads of people saying that, yes, give him another contract, but then that's exactly the same scenario that's played out for years and years and years, and then they've got no resale value at the end of the deal. And that sort of
if Danny Rull is here at the end of the season, Michael Smith is not getting another contract because he is one of our higher earners, right? Which Danny Rull will sit back and look at. This is my transfer budget. You are a huge whack of that.
You would just hit the nail on the head. And it's the big thing, if Danny's here at the end of the season.
If you're protecting your assets, you might... Do you know if it is looking like Danny's going to leave at the end of the season, if that's the internal sort of thing still behind the scenes, then maybe you keep hold of someone like Smith, because I have no doubt that the next appointment Sheffield Wednesday make is going to be an absolute cluster, So it's a case of you probably need a big man up top to do the job for you. But if you are actually building under this manager, then you probably, if they're offering let's just say it's 750k, not 500, or even you can squeeze $1 million out maybe with extras for a player who is not going to sign in 6 months. Do it, but make sure you've got the deals in place first.
Yeah.
Get the striker in on loan and take a bit of a hit and then sell him. So we've got the striker in place. This is where I go. Do we take the risk and sell Smith before we get the striker in?
No, we've done it too early.
Listen. Oh, if we miss the recall time for Cads?
Yes.
Yeah. Because that would have been my thought process. If we'd have done things earlier, recall Cads if we're going to be cheap, right? Just so if all of our strikers fall through.
You've also got to remember, next season, Cads probably lead the line with someone else next to him. Yeah. So you're going to build it to having someone to be... That's not a bad shout.
Cads and Charlie McNeil.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think one of those players won't be here next season, either permanently or on loan.
I think Cads will be here, but I think Charlie McNeil is being ready to learn how to play the Josh Windhack role. I don't think he wants him as a striker. I think he wants him as a 10.
Yeah. I think it's the area we need. We need goals, and especially when I look at how Gassama's developing now, I'd be looking at someone who's going to play off Gassama's intelligence.
Yeah,
you've also got to remember as well, James. Masaba's out of contract at the end of the summer,
which could mean. Well, no, I know he's inconsistent, but he needs a contract in front of his face now. He's worth money. Like, he needs an extension. We might even have an extension somewhere in his contract. You'd hope so, and maybe we'd trigger it. But is Masaba out already? Jesus, he only get a 2 year.
Yeah. I think he got 2 years, and we may have an option. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but remember though, guys, all of the contract negotiations take place in the summer when they've all expired anyway, as we've seen from
not this season. If Danny gets what he wants,
true.
Danny made it very, very, very clear in the summer. I am not dealing with this at the end of the season again. Because he was...
We didn't have a presser this week, obviously, so we've not actually heard from Danny about how I don't think he'll tell us anything about how
he basically
went.
I think he basically said whatever, but I'm not going to talk about whatever we spoke about in private. All you can know is that the conversations have gone well, and we're back on the same kind of level.
Wavelength.
Yeah, wavelength.
Which is what you'd hope to hear, obviously.
Don't forget all of that little lovers tiff that they had has actually then delayed all of our business by a week and a half. And as you were saying as well.
I'm not forgetting.
How can you not?
You know, like, it's the 25th of January, Jack, and we've signed
Charles,
a player that we already had.
Sometimes, I wonder if DC does this on purpose to sort of go like, ooh, the excitement of transfer deadline day, who are we going to get?
Carlos said in an interview, said it's weird when they do all their business, like 2 days left to the window. He was saying,
but it's all that when at that stage it feels like you're just scooping up who's left. You know what I mean? Like, I worry about it. But I think, lads, if we can make it work, we'll try and even do we'll try and do a live this week at the last hour or something
this week,
like
it's next week, Monday.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Monday the 3rd. I know everyone kind of.
Oh, is it not Friday?
No, it's on Monday the 3rd.
That's weird.
It because I can't remember. I read it that they said why it's the 3rd. No, it's the 3rd of Feb, not the end of the month, like on January on Friday.
Fair enough. Anyway, we'll go on. We'll move on to the game we next speak of, which is Luton Town. It's got to be a win. Not in good form. Nope. They're not a very good side at the minute.
They got a new manager, which hasn't worked.
They should be doing better than they should be. We have to capitalise while they are 23rd in the championship, you'd think, Jake.
We owe them one as well.
Yeah.
we need to really put a good performance against them because I think it's loss. I think it's like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 losses, 1 draw in the last 6.
And they are woeful on the road. Yes. 4 points on the road to 22 points at home. We are woeful at home compared to away. So it's going to be a case of the woeful against the woeful in that regard. But I could see Wednesday bottling it. And I really don't want that, Jack. We need to be capitalising on these teams down in the relegation zone, especially. Your thoughts?
I totally agree. We have been doing, luckily this season, we have been doing that. We've not been doing the typical Wednesday thing of like, we're going to beat all the top teams and lose against the sodding bottom teams. We've actually been beating teams we should be beating, and that's good. That's like a massive improvement, especially over last year. But we just need to find consistency, because consistency, if we are, say, looking at nicking position number 6 in the playoffs or whatever, consistency is what will get us there. And that's what will set us apart from every other team that's around us also trying to get those last sort of 2 spots in the playoffs or whatever.
But when you're mid-table, that's what we need to find. You don't get consistency.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what we need to find. It's the mental aspect of the focus, match per match, with tying it up to what we said at the beginning of the podcast about how the players are only playing for 70 minutes focused, and then the last 20 they'll sit back and sort of go, oh, okay, it's done, whatever. And also, I've just looked up, and according to news source Give Me Sport, the reason that the transfer deadline day happens on the 3rd of February is because it syncs it up with the rest of the top European leagues, because they all close on the 3rd of February. So it's like about unity in the leagues and all that jazz. It's basically
that
so
makes
that
sense.
It doesn't close here, and then European League teams come and buy English players, and then they're sort of left up the creek without a paddle because, a release clause has been paid or something, and now they've got one less midfielder than they need or something like that. So that's the reason.
Well, I think, lads, we head into it positively.
Yeah.
We've seen today that a manager was frustrated by his substitutions he made, even if we can read a bit into that in the midweek. He then he learns immediately and keeps his best players on, makes the right substitutions and gets us a 2-0 win. Hopefully he can do the same next weekend and we can get the 3 points against Luton Town, which will put us closer to the playoffs, where it's by the Jesus Christ, where a couple of players, you see, that's the thing, right? Where we are now, any player would be interested in coming to Wednesday when you look how close we are to doing it. And that's not a position we have been in for the past few years.
I think the last time.
So it's like, I could go there and we could have a chance.
You've got to remember, people will look at what happened last season and look at what Danny's doing and go, I want to play there.
Yeah.
And all we need is a couple of players similar to what we did last season. If you actually look at the January transfer window, it's normally 3 loans or 4 loans that we normally get in. So far, we've got 1. If the theory 3, we're getting 2 more.
Yep.
And I think I don't think DC can not give Danny a closer damn it to what he wants in terms of realistically without it looking bad on him, because it already looked bad on him with what happened with the fan forum, but he needs to get a bit of good grace with Danny and a little bit with the fans if he can. Because I
think he just needs to, we need to be clever with it.
Yeah.
And I think if we're clever with it, then the sky really is the limit. We could actually do something this season. I don't think we will, but we could.
We all thought we were down in March.
Yep.
I don't know about you boys,
Jake.
But
don't start.
I don't know about you boys, but I really think that we need a central midfielder like engine sort of player, much like the standard of play that we had when we got Jacob Butterfield in on loan. I really think that's
right. I thought you were about to give your dumbest take ever when we just re-signed Shay Charles, and then I realised where you were going.
That will just absolutely make our season. But like the serious version of that is, I think we need a bit of a Kieran Lee sort of a midfielder as well. I'd say
we don't need a midfielder.
I'm a bit in the camp of I think Baz is letting us down sometimes because he's the one that's work rate drops off a cliff, but.
I don't have time to actually go into this, but
because I thought I'd drop the bombshell at the end.
Jake, did you hear what I just did?
I heard it.
And this was Jack's last appearance on the Talking Wednesday podcast for talking absolute tripe.
Come on the 3rd of February when we have a transfer raffle to see which podcast wants him.
Yeah, exactly. New host. Put your applications in the comment section below. I won't ask for any closing comments, and we'll end on that bombshell. Applications in the comments.
Thanks,
Take
Jeremy
care,
Clarkson.
guys, and we will see you in the next episode of Talking Wednesday.
Yeah. Adios.